2013. There was a Gaza resettlement meeting. 75% of journalists in the year of 2023 were killed in Palestine, not Ukraine, not North Korea, Palestine. We hear that Palestine rejects deals. We read the deals and we realize they're not deals at all. This is just a narrative controlled by Israel. Very, very obvious, and I think to the entire world, this is very, very obvious. And I think it's very important from your perspective as officials to acknowledge the importance that it has, because it brings into question not only intelligence and capabilities, but also your credibility as leaders. And I think if that's not internalized soon enough, then running for re-election is not exactly a good idea. I mean, I hate to be frank, but this really, really does bring into question your credibility. And if you think that Austin is not going to just sit by, it is just going to sit by and allow you guys to get elected after you've been silent, then I think you're badly mistaken. I thought that there was something you guys were seeing that I'm not seeing, but the reality is you guys are not seeing something very painfully obvious, and it's a matter of credibility. Yeah, that's all I have.
I came across a poster the other day that made me feel uneasy in every way. It made me feel sick to my stomach to even comprehend as I tried to figure out what I need to do to defend myself and my daughters. God forbid I meet this face to face or in a room full of people misusing the term race. The poster read a message that was truly horrifying. Rape is resistance. Don't you find that terrifying? Walking the streets of this marvelous city are people that believe with no shame and no pity that raping a girl is a legitimate act of resistance. So now I'm left feeling like I need to keep my distance, but why? You see, we're in Austin, Texas, some 7,000 miles away, and nothing we do and nothing we say will make any difference to the occurrence out there as much as I'd love it to be honestly fair. By having the Austin City Council pass a ceasefire resolution, I assure you that will not be the solution. But I also assure you something a little bit deeper. By caving into disrespectful, violent behavior, the plunge will be steeper. The result of yielding to pressure of bullying and violence will be like watching abuse when responding with silence. And worse than that, it will set a precedent where from now on forward it will be quite evident that citizens attempting to achieve what they desire will demonstrate aggressively and escalate higher. Is that how you wish your citizens to be wired? I stand here before you as a team player. I stand here before you as a taxpayer. My identity and my space are part of my kingdom. What is happening in the city known for its freedom sitting behind me have been poisoned to believe that they need to remind me of suffering of people they know nothing about. But if it's shown on TikTok, it's surely true with no doubt. We should all hold the right to live with no fear. That is a belief I hold close and I hold dear. They scream Zionist and colonizer and racist while roaming the streets, legitimizing rapists. This reality is painful and harsh, we must face it. We're witnessing the destruction of a generation who in the future are supposed to lead the nation, but instead are focusing on hate and segregation. I'm white, you know. The time is now to repair the higher education, because in the city where spray painting swastikas is normal, it's clear that we have lost all conscious moral. So one more time and louder for the people in the back, we will not stand here being under attack. The only way to end this is to bring them back. So if you truly want to help and if you truly care, support the surrender of terrorists and the release of the hostages. Nothing else is fair. Mayor Rothson and honorable members of the council, I'll end with a choked throat and eyes glistening. I appreciate your time and thank you for listening.
We have a right to speak.
Get into it, they'll kick you out.
Mr. Mayor, remember GUT School of Nursing, speaking of equity.
Constitutional right.
Impressed, I voted for you. Now I see that for you, equity and justice are relative. Sure, you council members are aggrieved about Israeli prisoners, and privately, about the Gaza genocide. But feelings don't matter. What matters is the political price for speaking up. Those against a ceasefire will call you anti-Semites, saying criticizing Israel is a crime, that they have political clout, money for your elections, and will flood you with letters, phone calls, and not vote for you. So be it. We pro-Palestinians are organizing, joining coalitions, and no more Austinites want a ceasefire. Next slide, please. By the way, economic consequences of not supporting Palestinians are 107 artists boycotting Southwest. A ceasefire is good for everyone. Prisoners are released, humanitarian aid flows, and a pause created for the hard work of equity and justice. Next slide, please. And let us be clear about the antecedents to this debacle. Israel, a settler colonial project, espoused a land without people for a people without a land. But the land had people. Israeli colonies squeezed indigenous Palestinians into smaller and smaller spaces. Next slide, please. Lizzardo, the largest Israeli human rights organization, calls it a regime of Jewish supremacy from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea, apartheid. Next slide, please. Israel is the only nation routinely rounding up children in the middle of the night, pulling them out of their homes, incarcerating them without due process. Next slide, please. The Israeli Committee Against House Demolitions has documented over 173,000 Palestinian homes destroyed, plus 70% in Gaza, according to satellite images. Gaza has been under siege for 17 years. Nothing in, nothing out, without Israeli permission. Israel has laws and regulations restricting every aspect of Palestinian life. Next slide, please. Imagine being a Christian from Bethlehem, a descendant of those who walked and talked with Jesus, and being denied a permit to celebrate Easter in Jerusalem. Separate laws for separate people. South Africa calls it an apartheid worse than theirs, funded by us. So would you be angry if you were a Palestinian? My Palestinian brother-in-law, who attends church every Sunday, asked me, why do you Americans hate us so much? All I could think of was, sorry, but some people are more equal than others. Christians talk about walking in the footsteps of Jesus. My challenge is, I will fund you going and walking in Palestinian footsteps. Then come and explain how purchasing millions of dollars in Israeli bonds and sending taxpayer money to Israel furthers equity and justice. It doesn't. It simply gives a green light to apartheid and genocide. So if you don't want to call for a ceasefire, I get it. Morally and ethically, you can't do it. The political price is too high. But here's what I say. We will see you at the ballot box.
It's very disappointing to see Americans supporting Hamas and thinking that Hamas is a cool thing. Hamas will torture them and massacre them.
It doesn't show the video.
It's very disappointing to see Americans supporting Hamas and thinking that Hamas. It's very disappointing to see Americans supporting Hamas and thinking that Hamas is a cool thing. Hamas will torture them and massacre them.
Thank you, Mayor and Council members, for listening, regardless of your personal stance in the conflict. My name is Anakin Dar, and my grandparents are Holocaust survivors. I was born and raised in Israel. I grew up in the middle of suicide bombing on public buses, in restaurants, markets, terrorist stabbing in the streets, hateful violence led by Hamas and its supporters, wishing to die as martyrs, as shaheed. I've been living in Austin with my family for the past 20 years. Austin is my home. I'm standing here in front of you, feeling the terror from my childhood all over again, because I'm seeing violence here that can easily escalate. I'm seeing Austin evolve and change, and this is not for the better. The future of our children is in our hands. We want to surround them with love, not hate. What you feed and nurture will grow. What values are we trying to feed in our community? Behind those people whose only language is hate and violence, stand their children who do not know there's another way. They emulate their parents and their friends and bring violence into the schools and claim this is the First Amendment right. Our forefathers could not have imagined how quickly the value of freedom of speech will be freedom of hate speech. This is 2024, Austin, Texas. Our local Jewish community is being repeatedly targeted over and over again in the past 3 years, including the arson as Congregation of Israel, multiplied incidents of hateful graffiti on Mapak, downtown and anti-Semitic incidents in school. Young children experience. We are scared. We want to keep Austin safe for everyone. There is no place for hate here. Not in the school, workplace, government, or public spaces. This is not just about the ceasefire. These protests are just the beginning. The very foundation of America is at stake. We cannot forget that 9/11 happened with only 19 Al-Qaeda terrorists that follow the same agenda as Hamas. The foundation of belief is not just anti-Semitic. This is anti-American as well. The October 7 attack can be the ACL over here in Austin, Texas. We must keep peace in Austin by taking care of Austin and the Jewish community. We need to nurture the principle that America is a melting pot, where all people, regardless of race, religion, and gender, have the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
Before the next speaker begins, I want to remind the council and
The only body that's been against Palestinian Texas.
you're out of
Where
order
have you been?
and you'll be asked to leave.
It's your feelings versus physical violence against our community members.
Members, what we will do is at the end of the public comment period, we will be in recess without objection until 1:15. But we will have the live music. Please begin.
Hello, I'm Molly Jacobson, Jewish native of Austin, and this is my friend Noah Argamani. She's 26. She's Israeli. She was kidnapped today. It's been 195 days. She's a personal friend. If you can go to the next slide, please. And then video, please. Oh, you're supposed to open it. Right there. This is her.
It's my understanding, and I don't know if this is the one, but sometimes Instagram
I know.
blocks, and that way we're not able to open.
But I sent him the video to her. Okay, so it shows Noah being kidnapped by Hamas civilians. She was on the back of motorcycles with her arms outstretched, screaming out, "Please don't kill me," with Avi Natan, whom she is engaged to. They took them both to Gaza. We have no idea if they are alive or dead. At the end of the video, Noah's mom, who has stage 4 cancer, is crying out, "Please bring back my only daughter." It's her last wish to say goodbye. So I lived in Israel when I was 24. I served teaching English as a second language in underprivileged communities. That's where we met at a music festival. I heard of the Nuba Festival, which was a rave for peace, and knew that if I was in Israel at the time, I would have been at the festival, could be one of the hostages today, like Noah. I'm in contact with her best friend and her mother, Leora, who have pretty much given up hope. Resolution supporters say they are a movement for peace, yet they're increasingly targeting the Jewish community. A resolution for a ceasefire now would leave Noah in Gaza for who knows how long. I am active at rallies supporting Israel here in Austin and to bring them home cries and events. I was told by a Palestinian supporter who's here today, who yelled at all of us last week when I walked up to the Israeli block party, that they knew who I was. The threats like that accomplish absolutely nothing. The sutra that I'm wearing now was worn by the ancient Israelites, the ancient Judeans, and they said I'm appropriating, but it actually was ours first. If those on the other side claim to be seeking peace, they would want to be meeting to build bridges and to bring about the release of the hostages and the surrender of Hamas, which could lead to a sustained ceasefire. The other side only wants to spew hate. They want to deny in one mouth that Hamas even did the actions they did on October 7th, when Hamas themselves took videos for the world to see. And then they say, oh, it was justified. Instead of terrifying the Austin Jewish community and claiming in their mouths the resistance of Hamas was justified, the Palestinians and those speaking about could work on doing interfaith gatherings. And we could work on teaching us about Eid. We teach you about Passover. And we could bring about peace in our neighborhood, which we have done, and New York and I have been involved in many times. Thank you all for your time.
It is 12:33 p.m. We are in recess.
Here's where the cops start getting crazy.
And we're afraid of being stabbed. Israel killed their hostages.
Security. knew it was going to be hot today because there's more and more people on each side going up, or at least on the pro-Israel side. The Hawks, the war hawks, are here. They want to keep the bombings up. Biden said he wants to keep the bombings up. He wants to actually expand the war against Iran, and I forget. There's another country.
Free Palestine! 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 Free Gaza! Free Gaza!
When the big for me, we can't just speak out.
Hey, y'all want to see the music or what? They're going to kick us out. Assuming that you don't know what music is.
Moms are heavy, moms spaghetti. Oh, no. No, I know.
They're touching her. Trying to kick people out the back now? Okay. Barry's got a beard now.
Are we actually, that's my next thing? Everybody's moving out of the way.
We're staying out of the way.
Can't see the music? Can't see the band?
You want to see the map? Let me see something over.
Don't talk to him. He doesn't have the intelligence to be talking to him. He's a bully. Let's see what's going down. They're setting up the music here. If anybody wants to come watch music, you just can't apparently be press. The press isn't allowed except for those guys. As long as you're not blocking anything, they can't make you go. It's Barry with the beard.
Bang is the beard.
The steroids are wearing down. Big. Getting big. So they don't mess with the pro-Israel people. You notice that?
Yeah, they don't mess with that.
The fake Semites. Fake Semites.
People are getting dogs.
She's like, why are you chafing?
This is my job. Carmona's out there. You think he wants to talk about the First Amendment? Yeah. A lot of cops. That's all the cops that are here for free speech today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 officers shaking hands over there. all the security, like 10 security guards that we see. There's another cop over there in the corner, right there. Can't really get his name. Where's the rest of them at?
Take a picture of us too.
Who did? Whatever. It don't matter. I'm gonna walk through this den of vipers. Den of vipers. Hey, we're outside, y'all. Let me get some B-roll here. Free. Thank you. You're going to be the center of my shot.
Keep your hands to yourself.
It ought to get hot right now, huh?
It's gonna get hot.
Right here. He wants to engage. This guy can't even walk, he wants to engage. Can you put this in my back again?
It's closed.
Well, wherever it fits. Ow! Get too much. It's a small protest, but the police are going to make sure that there's no voices. Security guards walking through. Hey, no problem. It was a little bit contentious, but you know, people want to hug cops, they're going to hear from me. I don't know what to say.
I mean, that was our legal observer, and I don't know what that was all about. But what I can say
Documented it. She got legally observed by me.
Did you see how he was shaking when he was talking to me?
Who?
He was the one cop that she hugged. Great job. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you. You were really good too. She's really thirsty today. I'm thirsty too.
What,
Maybe after. Thank you.
what do you go by? What would you like to go by?
Hannah Bearcat?
And can I use this video?
Yes.
Okay. What would you like to say about what happens today? What happened? What's going on overseas? What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about the hate crime that happened in Austin next to the UT campus 2 weeks ago. The City Hall has been completely silent about what has happened, and they have made excuse after excuse saying that certain people in the community, like an imam, told them that they should not speak before the police make certain statements. Councilman Caudry is a liar, and I called him out publicly, and he left the room because he couldn't handle it. But the problem is that he lied, saying he calls the police department every day and checks on the status of the case, when I have evidence from the detective who's on the case since earlier in the week that the hate crime committee at APD already deemed this a hate crime and are moving forward as such. So for Caudry to say that I didn't make a statement on this because, which he said earlier in the meeting, and he was prefacing it to like cover his ass, but it's all a lie. I mean, it's an absolute lie. And honestly, I don't understand why anyone would tell him not to make a statement, especially like a religious person. I don't believe that they actually did that. I think that was an excuse. I honestly feel like there was something created to keep this quiet, and it's absurd. Also, I mean, I've had a direct connection with this student, and I'm grateful for that, but I've actually been able to see evidence of their face, of their injuries.
Tell us what happened again for people that don't know.
Okay, so on April 5th at around 11 o'clock at night on it was 23rd and Guadalupe, that area, a Muslim student wearing his kurta, after leaving a mosque, met up with a friend. He went and had dinner with this friend. They were heading back to their dorms on campus, and they were confronted by 3 men. Like,
white men.
They said it was 2 white men and 1 man who looked maybe Hispanic. They weren't sure. And this is in the police report, by the way. This is not like some hidden information, which I've read the report. And the 3 people walked their way. They surrounded them, and they started yelling Allahu Akbar and making fun of them and constantly berating them. And they were trying to get past them. And eventually the Muslim student's friend tried to push his way out because they were being surrounded, and they all started swinging, and they hit that kid, they hit the other kid, they both had bloody faces.
Assault and battery.
Yes, both guys, both of the students who were victims, they ran, and they met up after, and they took care of each other, and they got together with their friends, and eventually their friends convinced them that they need to report this, because even though they don't, I'm going to get off some topic a little bit, but the reason I'm talking for these students and about these students is because they're too afraid to do it themselves, and they've given me permission to speak about this. That's why I have had access to this information, so that I can share the exact truth as they say it. And unfortunately, even contacting the mayor and asking him to have a meeting with me and the 2 students, I was going to bring them here, and they were willing to no barking. And they were willing to come and actually out themselves with the mayor and talk to him so that they could see what happens next. And the mayor's office completely ignored me. I received no responses from any city council, from any one of something like we emailed UT asking them to make a statement about this hate crime. And before the press conference was scheduled, and we emailed, I think it was something close to 60 staff, administrative, president, the provost, all of the people, dean, students, yes. And then we emailed. Because
you think the people were UT students that attacked them, right?
It is possible that they were college age guys.
Near,
They were very
near UT
similar in
campus
age.
on Guadalupe.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was late at night, so assumedly there are students. But furthermore, the campus, their response from the dean's office and the response from like the student affairs, it was completely flat. They sent one student to speak with these victims and to try to like see what happened, and then that person left and nothing ever happened.
They just dropped it.
So we emailed so many of these people. We also emailed like 70 politicians. We emailed council members. We emailed the mayor. We emailed like Lloyd Doggett. We emailed all of our congressmen. We emailed anybody that's coming up for election here that wants to be a part of government. We emailed them and invited them to come and speak on behalf of these poor students who were attacked. And no one responded except for Lloyd Doggett, and he said, "I appreciate you bringing this to my attention." And that was it.
Because politicians do what?
They do nothing.
Well, they scratch each other's backs. So the only way you can do anything is to be dirty.
Each other's balls, but that's fine.
You got to be dirty. Like if you want your thing passed, you got to pass the thing you don't want. You know what I mean? Like so they're all in bed together, and they're not on one side or the other. They're all on both sides in a way, because whatever the money is.
But I also want to bring this up. I want to bring this up because this isn't talked about either. There was a witness, and the witness has been in contact with the police. There was a witness to this crime to substantiate it. The rumors that have been going around have been harming. I would say like it's harming these students by not actually like condemning what's happening, but it is going to create more chaos for the Arab community, the Muslim community. Like every time you don't acknowledge them, more bad things happen.
Right, you enable the abuse
people, and it often fuels people because they say, well, they don't care. Let's do whatever we want.
And it's a Islamophobic hate crime. It's a
100%.
Muslim hate. It's a hate crime against Muslims.
Yes.
So
and
right.
Austin Police Department Hate Crimes Review Board deemed this a hate crime. Plain and simple. If the mayor had ever checked up on this, he would know that right now, and he would make a statement if he gave a shit. That's it.
He doesn't. You can tell when he's up there. He's only telling people to shut up. He's never.
No, and I looked him right in the eyes, and I said, "This is a hate crime from your police department." And he looked at me. He didn't say anything. He doesn't have anything to say in response. But he's a coward. They're all cowards.
So there was speakers up there.
Racist cowards.
Right. There was a speaker up there talking about
their feelings.
The actual swastikas and stuff that were done like a year or two ago, and those banners by extremist white supremacist groups, and relating it. Yeah, they get access. They get, the Jewish community gets access,
yes,
but the Muslim community gets stonewalled, and we have a First Amendment right to freedom of religion, right? Yes. And so, how do you feel about that? So they access.
I feel like City Council's racism is showing out in the open for the first time, and there is such a thing as being like complicit in racism. Even if you're a person of color, you're still just going along with everybody else, which to me, I want to bring up that one of the speakers who I have spoken to, and I think that her thinking is delusional, and I know for a fact that she is not receiving the same information that the general public of human beings
She's siloed.
She also has stated that the kafaya is Israel.
Jewish, yeah. Which is explain kafaya because no one's going to know.
Kafaya, this piece of cloth has very specific meanings. Everything that is involved on the cloth is a specific thing that is meant to represent something that is truly and solely from the Palestinian people.
It's ancient.
It is.
Just like Native Americans had theirs, just like the Mexicans had theirs, and just like the Celtics had theirs.
Yes, it's been a symbol of resistance and a symbol of national pride, even when a nation was taken from them. And I, as a Lebanese person, found these in Lebanon and started wearing them in solidarity with Palestinians 16 years ago, 17 years ago, and I find it absolutely abhorrent that they would say that somehow you can appropriate the kafaya, which I don't know. I don't know what to say other than that's absolutely horrifying.
She said it was Jewish. She said it was Jewish origin.
She said it was ancient,
Judea. I think she said.
ancient Israelis.
Israelis?
Israelites.
Okay.
Something to that effect.
The wanderers, when they were wanderers.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what she meant
Yeah.
because I was really stunned by it. But one of the speakers before this girl, they said that our community is being segregated, that the community in Austin is being segregated, and
That
she
the
said,
Jewish community is being segregated?
no, well, yeah, I mean that they're being segregated, and she said, I'm white. Did you hear her say that?
I kind of heard it, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
she
sure I
said-
have it on
and
video.
she looked back. She said, I'm white, and touched her face.
Mhm.
I don't give a shit what you look like or what religion you follow, as long as it doesn't bother me and doesn't hurt people.
Right.
And also conflating Judaism with Zionism is absurd. So the actions of Zionists have brought us to this point, and that's a different matter than Judaism altogether.
So this is the second hate crime that I know of. Can you talk about the other guy that's got hospitalized?
Yeah, Zachariah DeWer, that was in February, and he was hospitalized, and I know that Hatim spoke with him and was helping create dialogue between media and him to bring awareness to this.
What's the story? What happened to him?
I'm not an expert on this story.
It's
I
like
only
he was in
know
a truck or
he was in
something?
a car with other people. I think there were like 2 or 3 other people, and they had a Palestinian. They had a flag with a kafaya on the flag, the Palestinian flag, and it was hanging like a what is it called?
Antenna? Like a little
Yeah,
antenna
like their
flag?
antenna.
Like a little flag, a little bitty flag.
I don't think it was huge,
Yeah.
but it was a flag that was like attached to the front of
And
the
then
car.
some anti-Muslim people attacked him at UT,
It was,
right?
No, it was one person on a bicycle.
Bicycle?
Yes, he rode up and started yelling at them with the windows open, and he started beating on the car, and he actually dragged one of the guys out of the vehicle and started beating on him, and that's whenever the knife came out, and the other guys were trying to help, and like...
He stabbed the guy, right?
He
Broke
did,
his
he stabbed-
rib,
he
and he's
did.
still like injured. Like
Yeah.
he can be injured for a long time.
Yeah.
Because ribs, I've still
Um,
got bruised ribs, cracked ribs from when the APD beat me, like 15 years ago.
And I honestly, I don't know what would happen to my psyche if I was attacked at knife point for
She's gonna
being
be
myself.
scared. She's gonna be scared, traumatized. And how did the city respond to that? In the same way as they're doing now with this other one?
Exact same.
Okay.
We, like the Austin for Palestine Coalition, started commenting on every post that Mayor Watson did that he was not addressing this hate crime. And about like 8 days later, he said some blurb on Instagram. That's it, just like a little statement that said like, hate crime bad.
Yeah.
That's it. It wasn't specific, it wasn't intentional, it was the most generic law that you could put out there. Just
So,
to say you did it.
Just to be clear, the people who were dropping the banners outside of whatever that Jewish community center off of Steck and like Mopac, did that have anything to do with Muslims?
Not that I know of.
So that was a white
But
supremacist,
also,
right?
I think that's terrible.
Yeah.
And like, I would stand against that too. I say
But
that's terrible.
The city stood against that and investigated and sent cops and
They
all
did.
that, but they're not investigating. So they're like biased. They're
I
showing
mean,
their bias, right?
I know that the investigator on this case is doing something because I have seen correspondence between him and the student that I'm in contact with closely.
But there's been no arrests.
No.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep track of this and I'm going to keep bringing it up.
Yeah.
But I don't think, I don't think after today's response to everything that happened that anyone from this building is ever going to say anything about it. And if they do, it's going to be because I shamed them publicly, and they should be ashamed.
That's power. I mean, they should be shamed. Is there anything else you wanted to say? I know it's hot out here.
I don't know how else to say genocide is bad,
Yeah.
but genocide is bad.
Land back, no genocide.
It's something that should be very easy to agree upon. It's something that we should all stand behind and try to stop. And it's a human issue. And I said that a billion times over. I've said that so many times that humans are humans, and you should be concerned about humans because they're humans.
They talk about the Jewish people. They talk about how hateful the Muslim community is, and then they run out of here. They run out of here secretively, and then everyone all the Muslim people get together, or the Muslim supporting people. They get it together, play with their dogs, they hug, they have their children. you know, there's all this loving community coming, like they're totally disengaged also from the reality.
It's really frightening how much they talk about their fear.
Yeah.
I feel afraid from something they see. I feel afraid from something that I have been so racist about. Like the one lady who said she was afraid of someone because they were walking down the street wearing a keffiyeh. Like that is profiling. That is disgusting behavior. And for them to react that way just shows their racism, and that's it. So if they feel scared, that's their problem, and they need to seek help for it.
I like to talk about the president for a second, because it concerns me. Not that I believe in presidents. So, I mean, if that's okay with you.
I mean, yeah, fuck it.
So, like, the president has just authorized an expansion of the war, saying that Israel should bomb Iran. Is that correct? I mean, is that correct? Like, so they want to start launching weapons. It could escalate into global thermonuclear war like that. Like, we could be talking, we could fry right now. So I really think that there's this, like, the Desert Shield, desert whatever storm, that destabilized the region just like I said it would, and it created a whole problem destabilizing the region. There's been like a history, hundreds of years of war and different kinds of colonization and stuff, and there's just this whole underbelly of like dissension where no one can ever get together in a peace talk because they're still talking about the history, and now we're going to have new history, and they're just trying to bring it to the surface. So I don't know if they're looking for oil or what they're doing, but like,
I mean, of course they're looking for resources. That's why Africa should destabilize. Same thing.
So he's like saying continue to bomb Gaza, but also we're going to send in aid. So we care for you, but go ahead and bomb. It's like two-faced, right?
President Biden is a horrific human being, and he is talking out of both sides of his ass, and sending aid to people that has killed people by falling on them, and not just demanding for aid to be let in, the trucks that have been waiting forever trying to get in. The United States is complicit in all of this, and they've been fueling it, and they're taking care of their little sister country that they have created to destabilize. I mean, the only thing that Israel has done is destabilize the region.
Trump didn't help by making Jerusalem the capital or whatever hell.
No, and no one else recognizes that because the United Nations does not recognize that.
Okay. But it bolstered the right. It's for the right. I mean, the right wing. And when you were mentioning that the aid had fallen, that some things had fallen on people, that's when IDF parachuted the aid in, and it fell on people and hurt.
In the United States.
In the United States.
Yeah,
so
dropping aid in like crates.
And it fell on people because it wasn't well organized and orchestrated.
It falls on people. It's moldy or it has maggots. There's a lot of old things that have been dropped that like are not actually consumable. It's being dropped in the ocean, the Mediterranean Sea, and people are swimming out to get it and dying from.
It sinks, right? It sinks
it
to the
sinks,
bottom.
but also there's huge parachutes that fall. So you go out there and you get covered in a parachute, you're not going to make it.
Yeah.
Like you can't get out
breathe.
from under it.
Yeah.
So it's meant to fail, and it's meant to make life harder. But
it has a visual that you're helping.
But it has a visual, but then you look at the other camera, and the other camera is showing the scope of IDF shooting people while they're getting aid, and seeing people with bullet holes on the ground. And there's no other explanation other than the IDF has killed them.
And then that World Kitchen, from the Australia, like what, a week ago, and that was hot.
That was something that actually brought people's attention because they were European, mostly. And I'm glad there was attention. I wish there was attention for the 35,000 people that have already died.
And Australia got mad, right? They got their prime minister got mad because it was Australians that got bombed.
They should.
Yeah.
I mean, we should all be mad, but not just because our country is being hurt by this. It's something that everybody should care about. The other thing, I wanted to say, now there is new technology that's being sent out in drones in Gaza that are being used, where people are reporting the repeated cries of babies coming from drones that are shooting people when they come close. And they're coming to find out what's wrong. So it's screaming women and babies, and you hear these sounds coming from a drone. And not anybody, they're starting to catch on that it's a drone, but like not everybody knows that.
So they're going to rescue and help people, and then they find out that's just
they die.
A robot trying to kill you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is new technology, and I'm sure it's it's part of the drones that can shoot people without indiscriminately.
Right.
And at some point, it's gonna be an actual baby or an actual woman screaming.
And people won't go because they're afraid.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and either way, if they go out there, they'll get killed. So either way, whoever is screaming.
And it's psychological warfare.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something out of the Hunger Games. I don't know what the fuck, like.
Wait, weren't they doing that a few months ago?
I hadn't heard about it then, but I'm hearing about it a lot now. But they maybe have.
Yeah, they did something like
I
that.
just want to say you did a great job speaking.
Thank you.
I wasn't sure if you were like on camera, so I just wanted to wait.
We're on
Yes,
camera.
but
Do you want to
I-
wrap up with anything?
Sorry.
No, you're good. I
Okay.
just want to say that, like, our state government, our city government, and our national government have failed a lot of people in their population, and they have failed and created this. I mean, they've dropped the veil for me. I don't actually believe in anything in this country anymore. I don't trust that the United Nations could ever do anything that I thought was something in place to take care of people and just show that we are all like trying to be humanitarian. It's all a farce.
Yeah, it's all about money, right?
And that really, that's thrown me really hard, because it's something that, like, you're raised that way, you come up that way, and
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
big eye opener when you find out you're the oppressed, and they don't even really care about the First Amendment or any of the constitutional protections.
it's really scary, and I don't really know where we go from here.
Got to change them all, right? Got to vote them all out,
Basically.
Cool.
Rule now, and we didn't let anybody in with drinks, and even disabled people, and so they called the
So you came, can I back up a second? I'm sorry to interrupt your flow. You came up here a little bit before 12, and then you had your drink, your Gatorade, because for medical reasons you need it, and for your daughter's medical reasons, for her pills.
Yes.
And you're disabled.
Yes.
And they told you they didn't care, and then what?
They said that I could sit in the lobby and watch on the screens, and I told them, you know that's not the same. Especially since they don't show everything on those screens. And I told them it was ableist and it was discrimination because I wasn't, they were refusing to give me equal access. They said I could go into the chambers, but I couldn't bring things that were medically necessary. And I kept telling them that that's not equal access because the people in there have their health and safety, and I'm being denied that I can go in there, but I can't, I said if I pass out in there because you're refusing to let me have my drink with me, then I'm going to sue you.
What was their response when you said you're going to sue them and that it was discrimination? Did they have any response to reasonable accommodations under ADA?
They kept saying it wasn't discrimination because they said that I could sit in the lobby no matter how many times I told them that's not the same, that that's not equal access, and they know it.
It's not reasonable accommodations either.
And I said, well, first they brought the security supervisor out, and I talked to him, and he said, this isn't this is powering, this isn't medicine, even though it might as well be for my purposes, and also for my daughter's purposes, because they said I could have her medicine, but I can't give her her medicine without a drink to give it to her. And then I asked for his supervisor, and he said he doesn't work in the building, and I said, can you call him? And he said, oh, I can call him, but he's going to tell you the same thing. And then he left, so you didn't even call
They
him.
always say that, don't they? They'll say the same thing. They'll back me up.
Yeah. And then, but then they never called because they know there's a chance that they won't. But then I said, you guys don't care about disabled people. And then the one security guard said, I'm a 100% disabled veteran, so don't talk to me about that. And then I said, what else? I said, we can go disability for disability. And I said, a decent person wouldn't say anything like that. And
Yeah.
he said, well, that's subjective. And then, because of all the stress of dealing with the discrimination and arguing with them and trying to have my normal rights to just go in there, because it's never been a problem, I I was trying to avoid a medical emergency, but then all of this caused a medical emergency.
Stress.
From the stress, yeah. I was this close to passing out. First, I was sitting on my walker, and then I had to sit on the floor. And they tried to tell me, you can't sit on the floor. And I said, I feel like I'm gonna pass out. And then they started talking about calling 911. I said, no. And eventually I had to lay on the floor because, like, I was struggling so much because I was so overwhelmed with stress.
The stress from oppression.
Exactly. And then they kept talking about calling 911. They said, oh, with the protocol, we have to call 911, even though I said I don't consent. And then I didn't hear this, but my friend Andrea heard it, that they also talked about calling CPS because she obviously can't take care of her child. And then they finally let me through, and I had to throw away my Powerade. And then I got to the door, and they hadn't, this whole time they hadn't said anything about the food. They went through my bag, they saw that I had chips, they didn't say anything about that. Which, that was also necessary. I have a 6-year-old with me, and they're saying she can't have anything to eat or drink. They don't know how long I was gonna be in there. And then, when I got to the chamber doors, he said, oh, you can't have food in there. I said, I just went through security, they didn't say anything about it. And he said, oh, because we were dealing with the drink, you didn't give us a chance to deal with the food. And I was like, he looked through my bag. So yeah, there was a chance, they saw it, because he went through my bag twice. And so I had to leave the $6 bag of chips. And then when I came back out, my daughter started coughing. And I said, I would give you some of my drink, but they made me throw it away. I don't have anything for you. And I talked to Layla from the Austin for Palestine Coalition, and she said that they were already looking into a civil rights lawsuit because they've been repressing and discriminating so much for months, and so there's a possibility of it becoming a class action lawsuit with how much stuff they've done, and that this today was clearly discrimination, and they just did not care.
You feel like it's getting worse every day?
Yeah, every time our people are here every meeting, and every meeting they have new repressive rules, and then today you can't even bring water. I would say I'm surprised, but like they are clearly supporting the Zionists who Israel is depriving Palestine of water, so it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's not legal. I know that. Like I may not know all the laws, but I know that it's not legal to say we don't care that you're disabled, you can't have a drink with you, even though it's medically necessary, even though you might pass out, and we're not going to give you equal access.
Reasonable accommodations. It also doesn't sound legal to say, hey, I have disability, so you don't.
Correct.
To compare disabilities.
Or I think the point he was trying to make was, you can't say that I don't care about disabled people because I'm disabled.
Right.
Or like, don't talk to me about disability because I know about disability. It's like, it doesn't really matter because I'm also disabled, and he was standing and working. He's clearly not 100% disabled.
Yeah.
And either way, it doesn't even matter.
But he's coming from a place of authority.
Exactly.
That's what it's really about. It's about power dynamics.
Mm-hmm. And then they started talking about me, how I was in the way because I was laying on the floor about to pass out because of the stress.
Well, they're the ones that made you in the way.
Exactly.
You know? What else do you want to add for your purposes?
And I now have to spend money to replace that drink and the $6 bag of chips for my daughter. So they essentially stole that from me and discriminated against me and caused like a ridiculous, unnecessary amount of stress.
And you don't have a lot of money.
No.
Okay.
I don't. The only reason we had the Powerade in the first place is because they were on sale. And my mom bought several of them because it's medically necessary. So that is all. Unless you have any questions.
not gonna go.
So pissed. I was so pissed. Then she calls me up. I tell her, hey, you know, the cops just passed by. Oh, there's a lizard. I gotta do this thing here.